Welcome back to our channel where we provide updates and undisclosed narratives on Catherine, Princess of Wales and her royal family. We provide you with the exciting news, Princess Beatrice and Eugenie's $1.5 million financial loss from Sarah Ferguson's shocking refusal. The decision against acquiring a royal home for $1.5 million, the impact of a duchess's choice on a family's financial circumstances, and its resonance in contemporary challenges. In the intricate and sometimes controversial domain of the British monarchy, decisions made in secrecy may have enduring repercussions on the public. Such shadows have proven particularly enduring concerning the House of York. Despite Prince Andrew's recent decline in reputation, dominating the headlines with his titles, home, and status within the royal family, precariously at stake, an older tale has suddenly emerged prominently. The narrative of a present, a denial, and a devastating financial setback that has quietly shaped the destinies of his daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, is a tale that has been transmitted through generations. Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, reportedly made a decision that led to a direct financial detriment of $1.5 million for her offspring. This choice, reportedly surprising royal insiders at the time, continues to reverberate decades later. The gesture, intended as a manifestation of genuine grandmotherly affection and a promise of stability, ultimately proved to be a costly missed opportunity, symbolizing the family's persistent struggles with finances, pride, and public perception. Sources close to the family indicate that the Duchess of Cambridge's decision was not only unexpected, but also profoundly personal, stemming from the intricate aftermath of her divorce from Prince Andrew, which garnered significant public scrutiny. What may have motivated a mother to forego the chance to provide her young children a stable and esteemed future? A magnificent mansion that remained uninhabited, a forsaken sanctuary, and a cycle of financial instability now poised to recur at the entrance of another royal estate comprise the tale that holds the remedy. This is the account of Birch Hall, illustrating how a single word, no, initiated a sequence of events that continues to shape the Yorks to this day. The Queen's policy for Birch Hall is characterized as a gift of sanctuary. In 1997, the monarchy underwent a notable transformation. The divorce of the Prince and Princess of Wales was formalized the previous year, and the tragic death of Diana, Princess of Wales, in August of that year, would reverberate throughout the institution and throughout the world. Amidst this atmosphere of sorrow and examination, another royal separation occurred, which, although not as globally impactful, inflicted its own significant scars. The divorce of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, concluded in May 1996, was a protracted and distressing procedure conducted under the relentless scrutiny of the tabloid press. The Yorks' divorce has debased the monarchy via scandalous imagery, allegations of infidelity, and mounting financial liabilities. Moreover, the Yorks' two young daughters, Princess Beatrice, aged 8, and Princess Eugenie, aged 6, were ensnared in the emotional turmoil. Besides her reputation for stoicism as a monarch, Queen Elizabeth II was also a grandmother very devoted to her grandkids. She was very aware of the effect that the public breakdown had on her grandchildren. Insiders would later recall that her primary objective was to shield them from destruction and provide a foundation of stability amid the turmoil. This became her paramount aspiration. He acted to attain that purpose. A parcel of property, referred to as Birch Hall, was obtained by trustees representing Her Majesty of the United Kingdom. The splendid Grade II listed Georgian house epitomized calm and permanence, situated in the serene and affluent village of Windlesham, Surrey. A home of serene elegance, substantial, but elegant, aesthetically pleasing, without being ostentatious. It was built in the early 18th century and served as a dwelling of understated dignity. Given its 7 bedrooms, 5 reception rooms, 4 bathrooms, and extensive grounds secured by towering hedges and formidable iron gates, it seemed to be the perfect location for a fresh start. The acquisition, which was valued at $1. $5 million at the time, was not just a transaction involving real estate, rather it was an act of compassion that occurred after great consideration. With the intention of providing the Duchess of York and her children with a safe haven away from the media and the ongoing tensions caused by royal scandal, Birch Hall was designed to serve as a retreat for them. It was a place where Beatrice and Eugenie could grow up with a feeling of normality to the point where their laughter could fill the hallways rather than the whispers of tabloids. Ever the matriarch, the Queen, was of the opinion that a house may facilitate the healing of wounds, and Birch Hall was her recommendation. One may say that the estate itself was a classic example of the English rural ideal. A tennis court for lazy afternoons, a heated outdoor swimming pool for hot days, an orangery overlooking acres of beautiful grass, and a separate cottage with 2 bedrooms for staff were some of the amenities that were included on the grounds which extended beyond the main home. The home was more than just a residence. It was a legacy in the making, a safe asset that was meant to serve as a foundation for the destinies of the 2 young princesses. Birch Hall, despite the fact that it had such tremendous potential, would never end up being their home. Are you motivated by pride, principle, or practicality when you refuse something? When the time came to welcome this fresh start, Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, made a choice that left many people perplexed and paved the way for decades of what-ifs. She declined the offer. Her previous mother-in-law had presented her and her children with a house that was so painstakingly furnished for them, but she refused to move into it. Despite the fact that the reasons for this key denial are still shrouded in a combination of conjecture and insider reports, they may be summed up in 3 basic themes: pride, principle, and the terrible reality of the financial situation. The financial explanation was the one that many observers found to be the most persuasive. Birch Hall came with royal-sized operating expenditures, despite the fact that it claimed to be a royal residence. By itself, it was thought that the heating expenditures for a huge Georgian estate were very extravagant. Keeping acres of groomed gardens, a swimming pool, and a tennis court in good condition, as well as hiring the appropriate home staff, needed a fortune which the Duchess, who had just divorced, simply did not have. She was allowed to rebuild her life and career on her own terms, despite the fact that she remained on very good terms with Prince Andrew. Her marriage had ended in the midst of controversy and humiliation, and she was left to rebuild her life and career on her own terms. Fergie, ever the pragmatic, may have recognized that the Queen's gift of refuge was a gilded cage that she could not afford to keep. The Queen had offered a sanctuary. The concept seemed inconceivable to those who were not familiar with it. For a woman who was previously married to the Queen's second son, it seems inconceivable that she would be unable to purchase a house that was granted by the Crown. On the other hand, Sarah Ferguson's financial troubles were a well-known fact, despite the fact that she seemed to be a glamorous princess. Her efforts to establish a profession which included her profitable association with Weight Watchers, as well as several media projects, were often followed by rumors of substantial debts throughout her career. It's possible that accepting Birch Hall would have addressed the housing issue that she was facing at the time, but it would have resulted in a long-term financial burden that she was either unwilling or unable to manage. There are many who believe that the rejection was motivated by pride. It is possible that accepting what may be seen as royal charity was an excessive step to take after years of public humiliation and being regarded as an outsider who had failed to adhere to the stringent traditions of the monarchy. For as long as she can remember, Sarah Ferguson has had a personality that is fiercely independent and at times stubborn. The refusal of the home may have been seen as a subtle demonstration of self-assertion, a proclamation that she would provide for her girls on her own, free from the implicit constraints and silent control that are often associated with royal wealth. There is a third hypothesis that focuses on principle. It is possible that the Duchess of Cambridge wanted to provide her girls with a life that was purposefully not conforming to the conventional model of royal life. By turning down Birch Hall, she was turning on the opportunity to live a life that was centered around the Queen. Instead, she chose to embrace an arrangement that, albeit being unusual, provided a different form of stability. The choice was taken regardless of the underlying considerations that led to it. Sunninghill Park in Ascot, a vast contemporary red brick home that had been a wedding present from the Queen back in 1986, was the location that Sarah and her girls chose to stay in, rather than migrating to the tranquil countryside of Surrey. She and Prince Andrew continued to co-parent their children in a domestic arrangement that baffled the public but gave Beatrice and Eugenie a stable atmosphere. Despite the fact that their marriage had ended, they continued to live under the same roof. From the perspective of the Duchess, it provided her with a feeling of familiarity and comfort that she was not yet prepared to give up. The monetary blow, as well as the loss of an inheritance, both immediate and lasting repercussions, resulted from the Duchess's decision to decline the offer. It was calm and deserted inside Birch Hall, the huge estate that was overflowing with possibility all around it. It was a monument to a future that was not available, and its echoing chambers were filled with nothing but the recollection of what may have been for a period of 2 long years. At the end of 1999, when there was no longer any possibility that the Yorks would ever move and the trustees secretly sold the property, it sold for the exact same amount of money that it was acquired for, which was $1.5 million. It seemed to be a neutral transaction, a straightforward return of the original investment when seen on paper. When seen in retrospect, it may be described as a disastrous financial error. The value of the property would have risen if the York family had kept it during their ownership. Over the course of the last quarter century, the real estate market in the United Kingdom has seen exponential expansion, notably for premier rural estates located in the home counties. According to the most cautious estimations, Birch Hall is now valued at up to £5 million. However, there are property experts who believe that it might be worth substantially more than that, considering its history and the massive modifications that were carried out by succeeding owners. It is estimated that Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie have lost a wealth of at least £3.5 million with this. Money was not the only factor at play here. For the princesses who are not considered working royals and do not receive public income via the sovereign grant, a physical asset such as Birch Hall would have given them an enormous amount of additional protection over the long run. A piece of their ancestry and a basis upon which they might construct their own families, it was a house that had the potential to be handed down from one generation to the next over their lifetimes. Instead, it turned out to be yet another chance that was not taken advantage of, a representation of the financial instability that has often been a problem for their family branch. The home was later acquired by private owners who proceeded to carry out major repairs, therefore converting it into a contemporary masterpiece while yet retaining its historic essence. It was characterized as a proper country house with spectacular gardens by the estate agent Andrew Russell of Strutton Parker when it was put back on the market in 2016. The listing price was $4.2 million. This property is considered to be one of the most exquisite residences in the northern region of Surrey. Photos of the listing highlighted a dream-come-true reception rooms that were bathed in sunlight, facilities that were cutting-edge, and gardens that were picture-perfect. But hidden behind the polished beauty was a narrative that had not been revealed. This was the house that was considered to be the place where two young princesses might rewrite their destiny. Beatrice and Eugenie were supposed to spend their birthdays in the gardens, wake up to Christmas mornings beside the huge fires, and run around the broad halls with the abandonment of children. This was the spot where they were supposed to do all of these things. The mansion was purchased with the love of a grandmother, with the intention of providing a sense of security and belonging. Instead, it turned out to be little more than another what-if scenario in the lengthy, convoluted, and often sad narrative of the Yorks. Continuing the cycle of history, the conflict over Royal Lodge. As the York family finds themselves in the midst of yet another housing crisis that is startlingly similar to the one they experienced at Birch Hall, the ghost of Birch Hall looms especially big today. Over the course of more than 20 years, Prince Andrew has called Royal Lodge a vast palace on the Windsor Great Park estate that has 30 rooms his home. In 2003, he was successful in obtaining a lease on the property that was for a period of 75 years. Since then, it has been the principal house for both him and his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, in a relationship that has been very atypical. The Royal Lodge, which is a far more impressive proposal than Birch Hall due to its 98 acres private chapel and historical importance as the former residence of the Queen Mother, is now available for purchase. A reminder of Prince Andrew's once favored position as the Queen's son, it marks the peak of royal living and is a symbol of the royal family's lifestyle. On the other hand, it seems as if his hold over this royal mansion is beginning to slip, and it is hard to ignore the similarities to the affair that occurred at Birch Hall. Because of the incident involving Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew has lost his financial status. As a result of the scandal, he has been deprived of his military affiliations, royal patronages, and the ability to use his Royal Highness style. It has been said that he has a difficult time affording the enormous maintenance of Royal Lodge, which is thought to cost somewhere around $400,000 per year. This is because he does not get the salary and allowances that come with being a senior working royal. Furthermore, according to the conditions of his lease, he is liable for lengthy and expensive improvements, and there are allegations that imply the property is in a state of disrepair. According to reports, King Charles III is putting a great amount of pressure on his brother to abandon the land. This is part of his effort to construct a monarchy that is more efficient and cost-effective. A disgraced prince has little desire for continuing to live in such magnificent taxpayer-owned surroundings, particularly when he can no longer afford to maintain them. The king's position is strengthened by public opinion. There is no hunger for him to continue living in such settings. As a result of this, Andrew is now confronted with the same reality that his daughters were previously confronted with, the possibility of losing a house that was intended to last a lifetime. At one point in time, it was said that he had the intention of preserving Royal Lodge within the family, maybe as a legacy for Beatrice and Eugenie. There has been a storm of financial pressure and public outcry, and as a result, that vision has almost completely disappeared. A further degree of complication has been added to the issue by the presence of Sarah Ferguson. They continue to share the enormous mansion, clinging to what seems to be the final bastion of their old royal existence, despite the fact that they divorced more than 25 years ago. She and Andrew continue to be unusually close, and they describe themselves as the happiest divorced couple in the world. The former couple is reportedly making a stunning request, which is that they be awarded 2 separate royal houses to replace the one they would be vacating. This request comes as the pressure to relocate is increasing, according to insiders within the royal family. Concerns have been expressed over the timing of this. Only a few weeks before the publication of these stories, the Duchess of Cambridge secretly sold her Mews house in London's elite Mayfair neighborhood, which she had acquired as an investment. The property was valued at $4.25 million. The scenario has been referred to as tone-deaf by critics who have questioned the reason why the Duchess would want another property from the Crown estate so soon after she had liquidated a significant asset of her own. It is a case of déjà vu for the general public. It is yet another chapter in the convoluted story of privileged property and personal consequence that the York family has been living through. In the middle of the mayhem, the princesses choose the path that leads to independence. Despite the fact that their parents' living arrangements continue to get media attention, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie have quietly and purposefully chosen their own pathways, which are located far away from the core of the royal storm. The elegance and resiliency with which they have navigated the perilous seas of their family's public existence has gained them the esteem of a large number of people. Their current lifestyles are a perfect example of everything that Birch Hall was intended to provide: stability, seclusion, and an existence that is centered on the family. Princess Beatrice, who is now married to Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi, a property entrepreneur, and her young family reside in a farmhouse in the Cotswolds that has been exquisitely refurbished and costs $3.5 million. Her house is a private refuge, a life centered on personal choice rather than public responsibility, and it is surrounded by rolling fields and the tranquility of the countryside. In the meanwhile, Princess Eugenie divides her time between Ivy Cottage at Kensington Palace and a house in Portugal where her husband Jack Brooksbank works in the hospitality sector. Both of these locations are in the United Kingdom. Her life, much like that of her sister, is a combination of contemporary freedom with the tradition of the royal family. Her responsibilities include being a devoted mother, being an enthusiastic supporter of many humanitarian causes, and working as a director at the Hauser and Wirth Art Gallery in London. Balance has been prioritized above birthright by both of these ladies. They no longer serve in active royal duties, and they are not eligible for support from the public sector. In spite of this, their presence inside the family continues to be substantial. It is undeniable, unassuming, and genuine. Away from the splendor of palace walls, they have constructed lives that are not characterized by titles, but rather by the purpose they serve. They have shown that power may exist without the formal trappings of monarchy, and that grace can be found far away from the limelight via the charitable work that they have done. For example, Eugenie was a co-founder of the Anti-Slavery Collective, while Beatrice has advocated for children who have dyslexia. When they do attend official events, their friendliness is genuine, and their statements are unfiltered by rigorous etiquette. However, they do attend fewer state events than other people. In a monarchy that is often evaluated based on its commitment to tradition, their unassuming efforts serve as a potent reminder that empathy, integrity, and humility may be just as regal as any crown or throne. Despite this, the shadow of their family's history is never absent from their lives. It is inevitable that they will be drawn back into a narrative that they did not voluntarily want to be a part of whenever there is a single headline about Prince Andrew or an issue that surrounds Royal Lodge. Taking into consideration this setting, the tale of Birch Hall, the home that never was, has an almost eerie quality to it. It is a time that marks a crossroads, a moment when a different course might have been followed, one that could have provided them with a source of stability and a financial security that they have since had to construct for themselves, leaving behind an indelible mark with just one word. After many decades have passed, the tale of Birch Hall continues to be told. It is a cautionary tale of what is provided, what is lost, and what can never completely be restored. And it lingers in the annals of contemporary royal history like a ghost that is silent but inexorable. For the York family, it is more than simply a transaction involving land. It is a symbol of missed opportunities of love that is bound by procedure and of the delicate and sometimes sad junction between royal duty and the silent anguish of human fallibility. The choice that Sarah Ferguson took in 1997 was not only a step in the wrong direction financially, regardless of whether it was motivated by pride, prudence, or principle. It was a defining moment that determined the course of events for her girls, and in many respects for her whole family over the years. It highlighted a pattern of living on the edge of a cliff, stuck between enormous affluence and a state of perpetual precariousness. In the present day, when the wind blows through the old trees that surround Royal Lodge, it is impossible not to sense the echoes of Birch Hall. Despite the fact that the walls have been altered and the stakes have been raised, the tale has remained eerily the same. A family that is perpetually bound between what they are entitled to and what they are able to support, between love and duty and between inheritance and loss. It is possible that the lesson may be the most challenging of all for Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. They have been given a history that is based not just on love and responsibility, but also on controversy, denial, and chances that were not taken advantage of. They have been witnesses to the transformation of two beautiful mansions, both of which were designed to serve as pillars of their family's security, into causes of contention and debate. Even though the doors of Birch Hall had been closed to them for a very long time, the memory of the place continues to whisper a profound truth that even in the realm of kings and crowns, the most treasured inheritances are not necessarily constructed of brick and cement. There are times when the most significant legacy is not based on what you are given, but rather on what you learn to create for yourself, and what you must learn to let go of with grace and fortitude. The home that never heard their laughter continues to be a quiet tribute to the decisions that define a dynasty, and it serves as a warning that even royal fortunes may be turned on a single word that can have tremendous consequences. No. Thank you for watching the video. Please let us know your thoughts, and goodbye for now.